What's up, everybody? Tom Pelissero here at Reliant Stadium shortly after the Minnesota Vikings once again extend their season and really set up a one-game season by beating the Houston Texans here today. I was wrong. I was dead wrong on this game. I thought that the Texans, with what they had to play for in terms of home field advantage, were going to come out here and give the Vikings the toughest test they've had all season. Instead, it was the Vikings that dictated the tempo, the pace of the game, the flow of the game, really from the beginning. You want to peg down one stat, and the Vikings dominated across the stat sheet, 22-11 in first downs, 345 yards to 187 for the Texans. Time of possession, 35 minutes to 25 minutes. To me, the number one thing that jumps out, Vikings were 9 of 18 on third downs offensively. The Texans 1 for 11. And that's a big deal. It wasn't exclusively either that the Vikings were putting themselves in better third down situations, although over the course of the game that was probably true, but they converted some. That very first touchdown drive, Christian Ponder makes a couple of throws. Ponder played well in this game. Defensively, the Vikings were able to take Houston out of what it does well, which is being able to run the football, then run a lot of that play-action, bootleg type of stuff, not unlike what the Vikings try to do with their quarterback. The Vikings really were able to put together, once again, I'd say 6 consecutive weeks now, a very good plan to come in here and beat this specific opponent. J.J. Watt caused trouble, which he's going to do. Andre Johnson got his catches, which he's going to do. Maybe the most surprising thing is Adrian Peterson had 2 20-yard carries in this game. If you take those 2 away, his other 23 carries went for a grand total of 46 yards. So he's averaging 2 yards a carry outside of those 2 that got out. But I thought it was interesting, Daniel Manning from the Texans said that the moment that Peterson popped that 20-yard run on the very first offensive play for the Minnesota Vikings, or at least his first carry in this game, Manning said it was at that point we realized that we were playing on our heels and that we should have been more prepared. I don't think it's a matter of they didn't take the Vikings seriously enough or any sorts of cliches like that, but for whatever reason, the Minnesota Vikings were the team that came in here motivated, that executed. The Texans were close to making a bunch of plays that could have shifted the momentum in this game. They were trying to attack the Viking zones with a lot of crossing-type routes. Well, the issue with those are you've got to be really precise. You know, it's all about putting the ball the correct spot. There were a bunch that were just a little bit out of reach for the receivers. At other times, the receivers simply didn't make the plays on the football for Matt Schaub. And when you're not able to run the football effectively, Christian Ponder outrushes the Texans. Christian Ponder had 48 yards rushing. The Texans had 34 on 16 carries of the team. When you take them out of those the situations where they're going to be able to run the short passing game, all of a sudden you're running a lot of intermediate to deep routes. Those are going to be lower percentage sorts of throws for Matt Schaub. They hit Matt Schaub today. Harrison Smith put his shoulder into Schaub's chest leg, got a flag for it. I have to look back at the tape and see if that was even a decent call. They end up putting in T.J. Yates because they don't want Schaub to get killed out there, and Harrison Smith ends up smoking him in the back and knocking out the football late in this game. Once again, now Vikings 9-0 when they are even or better in the turnover battle. On the other side of the football, or rather they're 0-6 when they don't when they lose the turnover battle. My mind's rambling here. I got to make a flight in a couple of minutes here. But the big thing, too, is the Vikings continue to have some things go their way. You make your own breaks in the NFL, but look at it from a health perspective. Once again, they come out of this game relatively healthy. They get Chris Cook back. It sounds like Brian Robinson's going to be available to come back for next week's big finale against the Green Bay Packers. And, yeah, Christian Ponder has 1 turnover today. Gets hit, kind of wobbles into a sack, gets stripped by J.J. Watt. The defense stands tall. Next drive, Texans drive down to the 1-yard line. They get a call from the officials, which looked correct, that the receiver was down at the 1-yard line. First and goal from there. They're able to stand tall 3 consecutive plays there, get a stop when they needed it most. And even a ball that Christian Ponder's trying to throw away in this game, trying to throw a ball out of bounds, his arm gets hit, the ball can't get out of bounds. Jerome Simpson goes up, catches it between 2 defenders, absorbs a hit. Simpson's had a brutal season, but he comes up with a play here. You've had a lot of guys who hadn't done a ton for this football team over the course of the season who have come forward and made some plays. Fred Evans with a huge sack on third down by the goal line there, a 15-yard sack that doesn't even allow the Texans to be able to go for it on 4th and short. It's plays like those that can make a huge difference here. The Vikings have gotten some breaks. At other times this season, they haven't necessarily gotten those breaks, but right now they're playing good football. When you do that, you tend to put yourselves in situations where more things are going to go your way. Now we just got to see 60 minutes against the Green Bay Packers, which could, and who knows when you're watching this video, by this point maybe the tiebreakers are a little bit more clear, but it could be one game for a chance to go to the playoffs. And even though the Packers were able to pull away in that game in Green Bay, I still firmly believe, and I've said it many times now, that if Christian Ponder doesn't throw those 2 interceptions, the Vikings are going to win that game. They had the correct game plan going in. Let's see what Bill Musgrave, Alan Williams, Leslie Frazier, Mike Prefer, all the coaches are able to put this thing together heading into that game. It's going to be a home game. I don't think Vikings fans are going to be giving up their tickets to the Packers fans either. It's going to be a huge game, a chance to get to 10 wins. Look at all the things that they've accomplished here. They've already equaled their win total over the past 2 seasons combined. If they manage to beat the Packers, they've beaten every single team in the NFC North division, and they're a 4-2 team within that division. There's a lot of positive things happening at this time of year, whereas a year ago, as I said to Christian Ponder, we were sitting in Washington, or at FedEx Field. Adrian Peterson's knee was blown out. Ponder was bleeding from the face, and he had a concussion. He had all these things, and they were 3-12. They just scraped and clawed, managed to get a 3rd win. Now they're sitting here 9-6. A little bit more fun to be a member of the Minnesota Vikings right now. I'm headed back to the Twin Cities. Full Vikings coverage as always at 1500ESPN.com. Happy holidays. We will see you.